What's up, groomers? Okay, I know what you're thinking. Acheeto, I'm not a groomer. Why would you say that? Yet. You're not a groomer yet. We gotta get some top scientists to analyze the correlation between becoming insanely famous on the internet and then instantly grooming minors after you get that fame. You know, I'm actually hoping that I can get groomed before I get too famous, so that way it can kind of cancel out. You know, in this world, it's either groom or be groomed, and if I get groomed, it's unlikely that I'm actually gonna groom someone else, you know? I bring this up because we're talking about Colleen Ballinger, aka Miranda Sings, a very popular YouTuber who got exposed around 2 months ago and decided to respond to these leaked messages and screenshots and loads of proof that she was actually acting inappropriately with minors by playing a ukulele and singing about how she's not a groomer, she's, quote, just a loser, going the Bo Burnham art school kid route. Now, the dust has settled on this situation, so if you're not familiar with it somehow, even though it went extremely viral, getting like 12 million views, I guess go do the research yourself. All of the info regarding this situation and her being exposed and all of the leaked messages are readily available to you if you type like 10 words on your keyboard. Within 15 seconds, you'll be able to find some other professional yapper who's going to run you through the extensive proof and everything, but I'm not going to do that here. To me, it's like if I was going to talk about EDP445 again, I wouldn't need to like preface it by saying like what he did and everything. But anyway, I didn't cover the Colleen Ballinger thing when it happened. I kind of left that one to the T channels. I let them do their thing on the situation, run through their talking points, go through the flashcards, all that stuff, you know. Girl, you a groomer? Oh, hell nah. Not you being a literal groomer. That's a yikes from me. Red flag, like, generating regurgitations of the 5 same words. But the reason I'm talking about Colleen Ballinger today is because she actually has a relationship with somebody I did talk about recently, which is JoJo Siwa. Now, I made a video talking about JoJo Siwa basically just because she had a controversy where she faked being pregnant, and I also looked at her TikToks, which were unsettling, and the video performed way better than I thought it would, getting a decent chunk of views. So, you know, my brain is wired to detect content wherever it can be found. So when I heard that JoJo Siwa had went onto a podcast to defend Colleen Ballinger, oh buddy, I did a little Fortnite dance. I was happy. I was like, oh shit, buddy, we're getting content today. So JoJo Siwa goes on a podcast which is hosted by one of the guys who also hosts America's Got Talent, which it's like when Fortnite collaborated with Balenciaga. It's like a weird crossover. Why is JoJo Siwa on the podcast of a host of America's Got Talent? And this is like an hour-long podcast. What is a 67-year-old bald man talking with a like 20-year-old TikTok / e-celeb for an hour plus? Dog, you lived through 9/11. There's no way that like the renegade dance on TikTok can be that interesting to you. The only thing that I know for a fact that they have in common is they're both rich and powerful. But anyway, some way, somehow, Howie Mandel caught wind of the entire Colleen Ballinger situation. I guess it really was that big. And he brings it up on the podcast. He's like, JoJo, didn't you know this woman? Didn't you know Colleen Ballinger? Like, what do you think of these allegations or like this, you know, situation? And I'll play the clip. JoJo responds in a pretty not promising way.
Speaking of friends, are you, and if I'm wrong, are you friends with Colleen Ballinger still?
Yeah,
What do you say about that?
I've known Colleen since I was 12.
Yeah. Are we connecting any dots here so far? I mean, come on. Like, she literally said, I've known her since I was 12. Like, that's not really something that you want. Like, I know how that might sound to you. Like, oh, you know, we've been friends forever. But, like, in the context of this person getting exposed for having inappropriate connections with minors, you saying that I've known this adult since I was a minor, since I was fucking 12, like, dude, not great. Now, let's do the math here, right? So, JoJo Siwa is 20 years old. Colleen Ballinger is 36 years old. So, 20 years old minus 8 years old is 12. 36 minus 8 years old is 28. So this 28-year-old knew you when you were 12. Look, I'm not saying that a 12-year-old can never interact with a 28-year-old, and I understand that when you're in the world of entertainment, you know, you meet people of all ages, but you just shouldn't be 28 years old making friends with 12-year-olds ever.
So for those that don't know, Colleen is in the middle of a kind of a...
It's tough. It's a...
Colleen, what was the name of the character?
Miranda Sings.
Miranda Sings. My other daughter went to all the concerts and everything, and she's getting accused of things.
Yes.
Which we don't have to talk about that she's accused of, but I would imagine if you're friends with her, you kind of met her when you were young.
I was 12 when I met her. And she's always been nothing but kind to me. Her family, nothing but kind to me.
Okay, before she says anything, and I'm sorry to cut her off, and I know that I'm a professional yapper, okay, but I do want to just say that Howie Mandel literally just gave her an out, like, hey, I know this can be very awkward because you're in the middle of something, and, you know, you don't really know what's going on, you've been friends with her forever. If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it, so we can just move on. And, you know, for Howie Mandel, I don't know if he did this on purpose to farm clips or farm content, but that just seems like something, like, why would you bring that up? But now, like, from JoJo Siwa's perspective, I feel like the best thing to do would be like, hey, can we just talk about something else? Can we switch subjects? Can I just promote my new, like, JoJo Siwa Pride Collection merch? Can we not discuss the fact that somebody that I've known for over 8 years, both online and offline, is being labeled as a groomer by, like, the majority of the internet, please?
I think it's really... This is the first time that I've talked about this, so I just want to make sure I say my exact piece that I want to say. The internet can take a lie and run so far with it, so far that it's to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, JoJo, I gotta disagree with you on that one. I believe that when something is widespread on the internet that, you know, you believe to be false, you can actually do something called disprove it by coming out with, like, you know, evidence on the opposing side. Now, obviously, for the time period before you do that, people are going to believe something if there is proof backing it up. Now, if there's not sufficient enough proof or you haven't heard the other side, you should generally, you know, do the innocent until proven guilty. But we've seen Colleen Ballinger's response. We've seen the proof levied against her. At least, you know, I'm hoping that we all have. You know, if you haven't, again, do your research. And JoJo saying that this, quote, lie has been so widespread that she can't do anything about it. But it's like, you actually can do something about it if you have something to, you know, oppose what's being levied against her. But you're coming on this podcast basically saying, source, trust me, bro, and you're expecting people to believe you or sympathize with you when, I'm sorry, but that's just not how this works. It would be one thing to give, like, a personal anecdote as to how, you know, you've had a strong relationship with her and, you know, this allegation thing is so hard to hear, but you shouldn't, you know, actively claim that it's false when you can't back it up. And then you go even further to say that, no, you actually can back it up, but it's not worth it because the internet's already made up their mind. Like, that's just a very silly way to look at it. The internet loves a redemption arc, and more than anything, I think people care about the truth, so if you supply them with something that actually is true, then give it, let's see it.
And I've had that happen to me, and I know Colleen very, very, very well.
Okay, that was a lot of varies. Did she explore your body or something? Like, you got something to say?
And I think the work that Colleen has done for the internet is incredible. I think her creativity is incredible. Miranda Sings is a character, is a comedian. And I think that it's very hard to be a character where people are also looking at you as you're a real human behind that character. And I think being a comedian is very hard because you were able to do things years ago that were okay, and now that we've grown and we've matured, we've realized that they're not okay. You know what I mean?
Okay, the logic that JoJo Siwa is using can be much more accurately and appropriately applied to a comedian that's getting canceled for saying the N-word in 2013 because it was funny. Grooming minors was never funny. I don't understand what this logic is. Like, oh yeah, you would get canceled for something now that was totally okay back then, but like sending your underwear to an underage fan, which is something I believe she did, never was funny, never was cool. I don't think like that's cancel culture's fault. And this is coming from someone who advocates for pushing the boundaries in comedy. I think satire and the best comedy out there is made when boundaries are pushed, and I think that we find new ways to make each other laugh when boundaries are pushed. Okay, you know what? I actually made a theory, and I think this makes a lot of sense. There's normie humor, which is just like, you know, casual, everyday person humor. There's dark humor, which could be, you know, maybe edgier stuff. Maybe you even get canceled for some of that stuff, okay. And then there's where Colleen Ballinger is, which is shadow humor, which is like literally dark humor squared to the point where it's not even dark humor, but it's like actual crimes. Dark humor is telling a kid who outplayed you in CSGO that you're gonna groom him, and then shadow humor is like actually literally grooming someone. Colleen Ballinger is the shadow humor person, so I'm shit, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm kidding.
But you, as somebody who's been in the public eye for a long time,
Yes.
do you think that it is appropriate to communicate openly with everybody that reaches out to you?
No, I don't think that communicating with fans is you got to be careful to not
And that's what I'm saying,
to
like-
not blur a friend fan line. It's very tough.
And here's my question to you. Regardless of judging whatever specifically is being said that
Yeah.
was happening, and I'm just saying this as a parent again. You said you started communicating with her when you were 12.
Yes.
Is you want to be
But
a
you
parent?
guys
So-
were in the same industry.
So we were
too.
in the
like,
same-
you-
And like, okay, if Jeffrey Epstein was in her industry, is that fine? Like, what's your point? When you're 12, you're just 12. There's no way around it. Like, it's not like, oh, you know, she'll be 13 next week, and, you know, 13 is actually a legal adult in some places. No, you're 12 years old. And I don't care what industry you're in. Like, you could be an asset manager for the McDonald's Grimace Riz Shake Fund or something, okay? Either way, when you are 28 years old, you don't make friends with 12-year-olds. You could say hi to 12-year-olds, you can give them a handshake, give them a hug if they're a fan or something. Maybe you got a cousin that's 12, you know? You say hi to your cousin, you love your cousin, that's fine. But you don't, like, meet a 12-year-old because you're in the same industry and then you become like best friends with them. That is oddball activity.
We actually met because on Dance Moms, do you know Tadra Hall?
Yes.
So on Dance Moms, Tadra Hall had a party and invited the Dance Moms cast, and 4 of the girls went, and they discluded myself and Nia, who is another girl on the show. And we all knew Todrick, so we were fine with that. But then Colleen, as Miranda, surprised the girls. And me and Nia were devastated because we were massive fans and we loved Colleen and we loved Miranda. And then when the episode came out, Colleen saw how upset me and Nia were. And she reached out to Holly and was like, I would love to like make this up to you guys. She was like, I was wondering where JoJo and Nia were. Like, I had no idea that this was the case. Like, please, like, whatever you guys want. Like, I just want to make the kids happy.
You really could have said that better with words. So I'm gonna skip her anime monologue where she explains how her and Colleen met, and we're just gonna skip to like the important question, and then I'm just gonna bounce because it's International Hamburger Day. That's not like a joke either. The day I'm recording this, you can go to Wendy's and get like a burger for like 5 cents. So your boy's getting some.
How is it for you now being her friend and reading some of what we read? Do you think it's all a lie? Do you think it's like, have you talked to her?
There have been a lot of people on the internet who have gotten hit with this cancellation. And a lot of them I know, some of them I don't know. And I look at it and I see that this is a sensitive subject.
Wow, no way. Anyway, that's what JoJo Siwa has to say on this matter. I didn't think it was very useful, but with that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I will be seeing you guys all in the next video. Go get a hamburger. Enjoy it. See ya.